for you this week. Last week, my good friend, now I've known this guy since he was in Pampers. My good friend Brett Sutherlin put a post up on LinkedIn and he said basically that he wants vendors to send him a 30-second video or some foolish thing like that. Anyway, and I come back and I send him a private message. I wouldn't attack anybody in public, so I said, "Hey, Brett, you're being a little bit arrogant with that post." So what does Sutherland do? He publishes that. So he said, Ziegler said I'm arrogant. Okay. Well, I said he was arrogant, self-serving, and condescending. We'll get into that in a minute. And our panelists today are April Simmons, Horn Automotive Group. Hi, kid.
Hello. Happy to be here. This is actually a really great topic as we move into this next year. So excited to jump in on it.
Well, the topic is actually vendor etiquette. How should a vendor approach a dealer? How should a dealer, basically react to vendors? Hey, Jennifer Briggs.
Hey, Jim. And it's all right. And it's all right, Brett. I remember when people said I was arrogant for asking for some of the pre-qualification questions. I had my team trained to do
Yeah,
as
because
well.
you're going to be in Brent's corner in this fight.
I
right?
sure as hell am.
Okay.
Knockout gloves.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely
And
am
I'm
on
going to
his
skip
side
over
today.
Brett for a second. I'm going to skip over Brett and go right to Geno Walsh, Qvale Auto Group. Hey, big guy, operations manager.
How we doing, Jim? So I think that this is the most appropriate time to have this webinar because NADA starts this Thursday, and so we want to talk about vendor etiquette. They throw it all away when we get to NADA. I know that for sure.
When you walk down the aisle, if you got a brown badge on, you are an up.
The amount, but listen, you should see the amount of phone calls, emails, text messages, little things tchotchkes that they keep sending to the dealership. It's like, come on, man, slow down. I don't want a vendor. I want a strategic partner first and foremost. But really, the salesmanship just went away. No one's trying to provide solutions, and I'm interested to hear Brett's take on it for sure. I'm in his corner, by the way.
And the queen of BDC. I mean, we just had the empress of executive management. Now we got the queen of BDC, Bobbie Herron. Hey, kid.
Hey, you gentlemen, take note on how we're introduced, as we're not talking to you at NADA. No, I'm just kidding. What's funny is, Geno, so you just mentioned that, and like Jennifer and I are obviously strategic partners to our clients. As such, I'm attending as a dealer at NADA. Won't be out there suitcasing or doing anything crazy. I'm attending as a dealer because I'm going on behalf of a client and with a client. And it's funny you say that because we are not registering our tickets until Wednesday night because we didn't want everything blown up. And to the dealer clients that I want 100 phone calls before we leave. We even created fake emails and Google Voice numbers to try to prevent that from occurring.
Oh, wow. And the mad Russian himself from Moscow, Russia.
Listen, Jim, I'm a vendor, right? So but I'm definitely not in Brett's corner.
Well, the most devious thing the devil did was convincing you that he doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, the most devious thing I did was convincing people I'm not a vendor. And my long-term friend who inspired this battle royale, my good friend, Brett Sutherlin. Hey, Brett.
Thanks, Jim. I look forward to the conversation.
Brett, people will think you're friendlier if you smile.
Well, start out. You took offense when I called you arrogant and condescending and self-serving. I get it. Tell me what you posted first of all. What
I posted is this. So I'm getting a lot of activity on LinkedIn. Sutherlin has 14 dealerships right now. We have 4 more that are under contract, and I probably get no less than 50 LinkedIn messages a day with people shooting videos or saying, you owe me this, or you have to look at this. And it's just to the point where I said, hey, send me if you got something you think I really need, send me a 60-second video, an elevator pitch, and tell me what it is, right? I used to own a company, Fusion Zone Automotive. We would guarantee to doubles the dealers, a dealer's conversion rates, therefore bringing in more leads. If I'm a website, if a website company says that to me and I'm in the market for changing websites, guess what? I might call you. But these, monotonous, drawn out emails on LinkedIn and to my personal email for those that have it are crazy. I went through LinkedIn ahead of this phone call, and there is one person in particular, and I won't say their name, that has sent me 26 videos in the last year that are all the exact same, right?
Same
Hey,
video.
Brett, you can name that vendor if you would.
Why don't you just name names?
Name names. Come on.
Brett, be a gentleman.
So my
Voice.
thought there is, I don't even think I think they're just copying and pasting and literally going down every dealer principal or dealership manager that they can, and they put absolutely no thought behind it, right?
And if that's their strategy, Brett, how are they going to help you?
Exactly. They never tell you that. They tell you nothing. And like I have time to jump on, 50 webinars a day, a week, a month, and, hear these people out. I just simply said,
Brett, they told you at the beginning that one more deal would pay for it.
yeah, exactly. And guess what? They all want to be your partner. None of them are vendors. They all want to be your partner.
That partner bullshit pisses me off more than anything.
I feel like I trademarked
You are not
that
my
shit, so I'm
partner.
gonna own
You are a
that.
damn vendor.
Well,
I'll agree with you on that. You are not my partner. You're never going to be my partner. You are a vendor. Get off that partner.
let me ask you a question, gentlemen. Here's why I can say that I'm a partner, and you tell me if you think that this makes it different. Creating a contract, which I don't do with me, requires a commission-based pay plan: performance, initial, and commission. I am your partner because when you win, I win, and when you lose, I don't get paid. Does that make me a vendor? Do you have a lot of vendors that do that?
Of course, you're a vendor.
Not a vendor.
Okay,
You are
here's
a vendor, Bobbie. Now, come on. I don't want to get on a side argument here, but yeah, you're definitely a vendor.
You just don't like the word.
here's
Sorry, we're working on Brett today. What happened? Let's stay there, okay?
I like partner, but I like partner for a totally different reason. The dealers, unfortunately, if you don't put in the word partner, they think I hired you to do a job, so I'm hands off and I have no participation or skin in the game. So by putting in the word partner, I think that's actually more for the dealer than it is even the vendor, because they still need to participate
That's a good point.
in their success with the vendors. You can't just say, hey, I hired you to do this, you go figure it all out, and not have any part of the conversation about strategy or what's working, what's not working, etc. So I like the word partner. If you want to come up with a different one, I'm all for it. But I'm on the line on that one because they are.
Okay, well,
they are a partner.
I'm with Brett on that one. I don't think any vendor is your partner. They are somebody.
Well, Jim, the only thing I would tell you is that if you develop a process with one of your strategic partners and they hold you accountable and you hold them accountable and you work together to develop a better ecosystem, that's a partnership. That's
By
not
definition.
Okay. That's not a
Do you
purchase
believe
of some product.
Cars.com is your partner?
No.
Okay, they tell you they are.
But that's a completely different setup than say like if you have a service partner, like Update Promises as a partner with us, right? Like we literally integrate with them. We're in a feedback loop. We're on Microsoft Teams. Every time there's an issue, I'm communicating with them. They're communicating with us to tell us when issues are about to occur. There's this mutual respect that's happening as we're developing this process, and then it's getting better and better.
What are you talking about? They're a vendor.
They're not a vendor, though.
They're doing their job.
Vendors like you, Max, you just tell us what to do, and you don't listen to us.
No, but there's a listen, just because you can't take criticism, but they are a vendor, right? They are a vendor, right? You pay them for the service. They provide you with reporting, which you call the positive feedback loop, right? But that's all it is. So you can be extremely naive right? And not understand the definition or the difference between the vendor and the partner. You know who's your partner? Someone who pays rent, someone who pays your payroll, right? That's a partner in your business. Don't confuse vendors and partners. And I'm saying this as a vendor, not as a partner.
Thank you, Stephen. You know what's funny though about this conversation? Look at the comment section. I just want to throw out real quick. I love this. And for everybody that's watching and commenting in here, I would love to see on a dealer, a vendor, and a partner side exactly what you think differentiates it. I think that that's brilliant. It will be helpful going into this week.
Great.
And it would be great for people who are trying to contact you too.
But regardless of the semantics, Brett's point was, if you want me to give you my time to look at whatever you have to provide, whether you're a vendor, partner, whatever you want to call yourself, then you got to give me some value if you want to book the time. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I think you're exactly right. And I'll tell you something interesting that stemmed from this post, Jim, is or one of my posts. I hired a lady by the name of Jamie, who was a GM for Maury's Auto Group. She is now over vendor relations. And it's not just to call and pitch her. What she's done is she has taken the bull by the horns. She dove in and she went through every single vendor we do business with and saying, first, are we getting what we're paying for? Are all the deliverables being met? And the answer almost uniformly across the board is no, we're paying for this and we're not getting it. We're paying for this and not getting it. How in the hell are you a partner if you're there just simply taking a check? A true partner would have someone making sure you're utilizing everything. Hey, Brett, you know what? You're paying for this service, but you're not using 3 out of the 5 products. That would be a partner. These people are just trying to get on a dealership's payables profile and get a check every month by doing the least amount of work as possible. And, that's been the big thing that I've uncovered by hiring Jamie, who is in position. Literally, with all the vendors for my 14 stores, she has come back with a mile list saying, this is who we're using. This is what you're not getting.
Okay, well,
that's the requirement.
We got the NADA convention coming up this week. And one thing you're going to see is when you walk down the aisle, if you've got a brown badge, which indicates you are a dealership, a dealer, or a general manager, you are fair game. I mean, you are an up.
You are me.
When you walk down the aisle, the sharks are all over you. Is that true, Geno?
There's not enough socks that I can put in my bag in order to not avoid all of those sharks. There's plenty of people trying to give you all kinds of different things, between the events, between the, some rap concert, and between, the little tchotchkes, as I call them. I mean, everyone's trying to grab your eyeballs. But I will tell you that I've met quite a few really solid people that I'm interested in going to see that are currently not my partner nor my vendor, because my partner, who's now my vendor, right? Because we're no longer partners because they're not getting that positive feedback and they're not fixing the issues that they need to fix. Okay, I'm looking for another.
You're paying attention.
I'm looking for somebody else to try to give me a better solution for one of my hot opportunities. And there's a lot of them out there.
You see a lot of things you didn't even know existed when you go to an NADA convention.
Yes.
You see a lot of vendors that have something that Brett would have took their phone call. He'd have hired them.
We have to earn a commitment from our customers in the dealership. Why is it so outrageous to ask the companies whom we are the customers of as dealers to do the same thing? I don't think that's outrageous.
It's not. Brett was 100%.
A 60-second video. Come on, Brett.
You know what? If I'm interviewing,
if you had a 3-minute video and you bailed out at 60 seconds, I'd be fine with that.
You know what, Brett? I require a video cover letter from everybody
exactly
with my company, with any of my clients, any of my partners' companies, and as a dealer operator for years and as an operations director for years, I required the same thing. So I don't think that asking a vendor who wants to do work with me to send me a video is out of line at all. And it decides for me if I want to do the demo or not. I always say you can't see skill set or relationship on paper. Those are just words. I want to see a video.
Bobbie, I
I'm with
believe
you.
that they should hire competent general managers to present to the dealer or the decision maker the correct vendors. I believe that it should start at a level below the dealer, to be real honest with you.
Well,
vendor
you think of
relationship
dealer
should not
as
start
just
with
the
decision
operator.
maker.
You think
And
of dealer as the
and
dealer
general
principal. And
manager
the
or
is
the,
the
or
is the
the
decision maker.
service director should present the vendors that he or she thinks are ready to the dealer.
Well, the same thing. This is the same thing is applicable, Jim. If I talk to any one of my general managers, they're going to tell you they're bombarded every day. You show me a general manager that's not screening his phone calls at the dealership level because they have to. If they're getting 20 calls a day, not to say LinkedIn messages, I may be more active than they are on LinkedIn, or not to say emails, they don't have enough time in the day. So I personally believe you can 100% request a 60-second video, and in 60 seconds, they can tell you what they do, what their product is, and what they're guaranteed.
Well, here's Eric Brower sucking up to you.
Things, maybe you've gotten my interest, and that's just how I feel about it.
Well, if you see that comment on the screen, I said Eric Brower is sucking up to you, Brett.
Well, I think part of the problem is that a lot of these people who are spam messaging you, they don't know how to explain or sell the value of the company that they work for in 60 seconds.
Hey, Marburger's in the house. Hello, Adam.
And
I got a good.
Shame on
Yes.
them, because they're the same vendors out there screaming that we as dealers need to provide a better customer experience to the customers, yet they're setting up this set it and forget it follow-up process to blowing up my email, blowing up my LinkedIn. What kind of value is that to me? What kind of customer experience is that to me?
April's
Apply crap to yourself.
April, it's because that person's not going to be there in 6 months. That's the reason why you're getting all that. Let me ask you a question, Max and Mr. Z, the Alpha Dawg. What about a warranty company? Is that a vendor or is that a partner?
Oh, absolutely a vendor.
Let me answer that question for you. But before I answer that question, right, I'm going to give you an analogy, right, of vendor-dealer relationships.
Here it goes.
It's
Everybody get
Tinder.
ready.
It is Tinder or any other dating app, okay, where girls use filters and Photoshop, and girls are dealers, right? And where guys lie about their height, lie about their weight, and lie about their income. And that's vendors.
And their hairline.
Right. So at the end of the day, these Tinder relationships never work out. Right. So in the real world, you need to be introduced to a partner or a vendor, right, by a relative, by a friend, by a coworker. And both parties need to work hard to make the magic happen.
Have you been watching my training and not telling anybody? You know that
Absolutely
that's the training
not.
that I do is how to wife up your customer.
Absolutely not.
I don't believe you.
Right.
Oh my gosh! Here, look at that. Everybody's sucking up to Brett here. Look at this.
So what I'm saying
That's
is
not
that
wrong.
at the end of the day, right, it took me years, if not decades, to build a reputation as one of the best in the field of income development via F&I, right? I don't cold call dealers. I don't send videos. I get all my business via referrals.
He's not
Right?
lying. He just got
When
lights
a
in his
dealer,
office.
when a dealer calls another dealer and says, hey, maybe you should speak to Max, that's way better than a 60-second video. Now,
Oh, no question. And vendors need to position themselves for that. That's how we grew when I owned Fusion Zone, is we literally would ask our partners, and whether you offer them a free month, if they can provide you a referral, if you think you're doing a good enough job, whatever the case may be, if you turn around and you work your clients to provide you referrals, listen, if I've got another large volume dealer that I respect in a 20 group, and they say, hey, Brett, you need to check out XYZ company, the chances of me checking them out are about 95%, as opposed to that same schmuck sending me a LinkedIn message, which is negative 0.001.
That's
Right, we're
exactly
talking
what
about two different.
Brett, I
Geno,
did
Geno,
$7
Geno,
million.
there's another
in
point to this,
2000.
Geno. So when
Wait a minute, Max.
Geno,
Wait a
when
minute,
you
Max.
talk about a positive look back, whatever you call it, right? And you say, well, the vendor or the partner says, we're paying for 5 things, but we're only using 3 things, right? At some point, right, dealer principals need to look in the mirror, right, and take responsibility and be able to implement a simple process. If you agree to pay for a certain level of service, make sure that you're implementing everything that you're paying for. I'll give you a perfect example.
With that.
I signed up a ton of dealers in my life that never ever sold a single product of mine, right? Because they're completely incapable of implementing a basic process. I can have a fleet of paper airplanes out of the useless dealer agreements signed by dealer principals, right? This is a two-way street, guys. You work on the dealer side and you make sure that your employees do what you agreed to pay the vendor for, and the vendor does their part.
Okay,
What
so
a great point. What a great
Max,
point.
Max, when you're developing your own ecosystem, whether it's a CRM, whether it's a sales process, a service process, and it's a digital ecosystem, and you're not working together to develop this process, then yes, that's a vendor. But when you're working with them and they're doing 2-week sprints to fix and adjust and refine that product so that it improves your brand and your customer's experience and the process and all the training that you put around it, to me, that's a partnership. Because I can't.
At the end of the day, money talks, right? When
But
I come to a meeting with a dealer principal, I come with hard, cold cash, American dollars, right? So, for example, if you do what I tell you to do, within 7 to 9 years, your portfolio will be worth more than all of your blue sky combined. And if you say no to me, obviously a partner sent you a badass video, right? And he's not bringing you these solutions. So stop being delusional, guys.
Well, I think I'm.
We're talking about 2 different things.
Yeah, we're talking about 2 different things.
Okay,
we're talking about somebody once they're in the store with you versus somebody who's not in the store with you. But yes, I think Brett's right. We get too many emails. We get too many tchotchkes sent to us. I think we get too many, even people knocking at your door to try to sell you stuff. I think a video that kind of gives you an elevator pitch. And if you can't get it done in 30 seconds, forget about 60. If you can't get it done in 30 seconds and why it's important for me to want to participate in a partnership or even a vendorship between the two of us, and why it's a solution that's going to help me make more money, then yeah, I don't want to watch you. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to shake your hand. I don't want to go to your rap concert. I don't want to go to your cocktail engagement. I don't want to get your socks. I don't want to do any of that stuff, right?
But if you have,
I will tell you, speaking of rap concerts and stuff, I was invited by one vendor. If we do business, you can go to a private dinner with Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Your ears safe? If that was cooler, I would try to close you up, take me with you.
You better watch your ears. Who's having dinner?
But you know what's interesting is
private dinner. Wait a minute. I get back to Mike Tyson.
A video is an opportunity
private
to get
dinner
a
with
conversation.
Mike Tyson.
Yes, sir. I will forward you the advertisement.
Oh my goodness!
Is
While
it
you're
a
doing
vendor
that,
that you can have a private dinner?
For disagreeing on this, I just want to
Brent, I see you flying around in your jet, and I know that you're desiring to have a dinner with Mike Tyson.
That's it, my friend. Right here. Dinner with Mike Tyson.
I can't believe it.
If you're a vendor who's watching, I want you to make sure that you're hearing what I want you to hear what Brett's saying. Hear what Brett is saying. He's telling you as a dealer, he just gave you an opportunity to close him on a conversation. And we're on here like, oh, you got to do the product. The truth is, if in the video, I can get Brett to see value in taking the time to have a conversation with me, that's all I have to do to get the conversation. And that is where the opportunity lies for creating a partnership.
On this broadcast. I didn't.
Hey, Bobbie, I'll tell you something interesting. What led to this post about vendors was I was flying on a Sunday to Atlanta and was online and sent an email to a guy that had made a pitch to me and our team 3 days prior, literally, I said, hey, I think we want to move forward. Let me ask you this question. 14 dealerships at $2,700 a month. So a large deal. His autoresponder comes back on saying, I'm on vacation. I'm away from my email and phone for the next week and left no one else to follow up with.
Quit it. Quit it.
Swear, yes, sir. I'll forward that along with Mike Tyson.
Brett,
$400,000.
the best year I ever had was 2007 or 2006. I made $7 million that year. That was my gross income before I paid my employees and whatever. But we grossed $7 million. And most of that came from me speaking at 20 groups. The majority of that was me speaking. I spoke at over 120 groups in my career. And the 20 groups built my company. They really did. Because it was all, I had 20 groups where I signed up 5 dealers.
Sure.
And that was for a long-term relationship at pretty big dollars. So,
no doubt.
And I encourage people, dealers that are listening to this, join a 20 group. Nichols, Campbell, Morrow, NADA, I don't care. Join a 20 group and get your general managers to join the 20 group. 4 general managers. Join, because you have such a narrow vision of the market that you live in. The reason I brought value to my dealers was that I was in 49 states. I could bring the best practices from California to dealers in Florida and vice versa. That was my value to dealers, is experiential observation. I saw the best practices in so I've been in 1,500 dealerships, and I saw the best practices.
Hey, so Jim, what are one of the best practices right now when you handle an internet lead?
When you handle an internet lead, hire Bobbie.
You send a video. You send a video.
I'm jumping in. Like, vendors, take a pitch from your own playbook, right?
Oh, here's Mabel Peralta on the sidebar saying she loves to send videos to her dealer partners. Dealers are not partners with you, Mabel. I'm sorry.
Good job, Mabel. Good job. Somebody put a comment in here just a couple of minutes ago that we didn't address, and I thought it was brilliant. It said that a dealer cannot be a partner to a vendor, but a vendor can be a partner to a dealer, but you can't start that way. Partnerships are earned. Trust is earned. It's long-term, and it has to matter that your partner is winning. And it's one thing, you're right. There's a lot of vendors out there that can't be partners, but we almost say it like it's a dirty word. Like, being a vendor is not a dirty word. And being a partner doesn't make you better. It makes you different. There are lots of differences in our industry and who works well with what. I have dealers that want to be completely hands-off on things, and have dealers who want to be vested in what we're doing together. All of them are held accountable the same way, and that's why not every vendor is a good fit for every single dealer.
Bobbie, I don't want to be a partner. I want to be a vendor. I want to be.
That's perfect. You can be. That's okay.
I want to be in the position of at-will employment, where I can be fired at any given moment for not doing my job.
Well, I can be fired at any given moment. People don't usually fire me. I think it's a
great.
But I'm saying, like, it's fair to be a vendor.
But the value proposition you just gave a moment ago, Max, was that of a partner showing the results in dollars, cold hard American dollars, I believe is what you said. So you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth.
I think you what you're trying to do, and this is me addressing Bobbie and Jennifer. Right? What you're trying to do is masquerade as partners while being vendors. And that's not fair to the dealers.
Max, are you saying they couldn't? Max, are you saying they couldn't know what they're talking about because they're girls?
Yeah, Max, is that what you're saying? Max, here's one of the things I love about Max.
I agree on almost everything, so that's not even factual.
You know what? Here's one of the things I love about Max, though. He's wrong in what he just said, and that's okay. It happens often. But what I will say is, if you are a partner to Max, or if he is your vendor, he's not going to lie to you. You can see how direct he is, even with his friends, even on an open thing. He has a massive audience right now that he could be trying to pitch, and he's not. So I will always give due credit for Max for that. And he has a great product. And we all know that I'm really harsh on vendors, and I don't say things like that. But what I would say is I am sure it is unbelievable to think that somebody could actually be a true partner. I am not motivated as much by money as I am by time. You're not going to catch me on a call at 8:00 in the morning if that's what you're looking for. I'm not your fit. Catch me at 2:00 in the morning. That's fine. We might not work well together. But I will tell you this. The majority of the partnerships that I have with my clients, they started out as a vendor relationship because they didn't know. I work almost 100% by word of mouth. The majority of the bulk of what I make in income is based on the success of the dealer and the KPIs that we're trying to do. I have a vested interest in that dealer. And all of my partners, all of them are long-term, and I don't have contracts. I've only ever lost 3 clients in 5 years, and I fired them. So you can say that I'm not a partner and that I masquerade as something, but I don't use filters. That's not a thing.
And I own 2 companies,
I saw that.
one on either side, Max, if you want to get specific. So
I have a question for both Geno and Brett. How do you guys currently vet new vendors? How are you actually seeing pitches right
Great
now?
question.
When are you deciding?
Good question. Good. Back on the subject.
Goes almost back exclusively to referrals. I know enough dealers in the country where if I respect them and they run a great operation and they say, hey, you need to see this or you need to look at this product, I will look.
And that starts with you having a problem that you're actually trying to solve, not just willy-nilly.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to dealer friends and say, hey, listen, I am looking for X, Y, and Z. And they say, I can't help you. Or, you know what? I think I've got the best in the industry here. Take a look. Back to what you were saying, Jim. Referrals are just huge.
Yeah.
Oh, the 20 groups. I started to say, here, Brian Horn made a good point. A 20 group is only as good as the dealers within the group. Now, what I used to hate was a 20 group that made a golf outing out of it and a luxury vacation out of it. And I had a 4-hour speech at 120 group one time in Lake Tahoe. And they paid my first class airfare and they paid me an amount to be there. And 2 hours into it, the moderator said, hey, Jim, we got to cut you short. We have tea time. They paid me a big ass number and then they had tea time. Quit it. I couldn't buy that. A 20 group is only as good as the other dealers in the group, and a 20 group is only as good as their mission.
Right.
Is their mission a golf outing and a luxury vacation, or is their mission learning, improving their stores, getting best practices from other dealers within the group?
Well, and just like Brett said, when he's searching for a new vendor or a partner or whatever we want to call it, he goes out looking for them. When you're looking to find other dealers, just remember, it's not just a dealer, principal, general manager 20 group. There are 20 groups for internet sales. There are 20 groups for marketing. Go out there with whatever goal you are trying to achieve and find your people, whether it's a vendor or a 20 group, find your people.
So here's what I do, Jim. It's like, I will not work with somebody who hasn't been an operator. There's plenty of people that'll try to pitch me, and if I know that they've never actually been in my industry, they haven't presented a menu, they haven't penciled a deal, they haven't appraised a vehicle, they haven't turned a wrench, then I'm probably not going to spend too much time listening to their pitch.
Then you'd probably hire me.
I would hire you. I think we did hire you a couple times.
You hired me a lot.
but honestly, because I think there's a little bit more value in somebody who understands our pain, because that's what they're trying to give us solutions to that pain.
I think that's what Brett was trying to get at. I pick on him a little bit here because I wanted to get some stuff in the, but you know, when I said he was arrogant, condescending, and self-centered, I didn't really mean that.
That's why I threw it back, Jim, on a video.
I know you did. You came right back at me. I'm thinking, oh damn.
Oh my goodness.
So I got a question for Jennifer, Bobbie, and Max and Jim. So forget about the semantics, whether it's a vendor, a partner, vendor plus, vendor elite, whatever you want to call them. What's the defining difference that you've seen out there in the marketplace between somebody who's successful at delivering solutions for their dealer partners or dealer customers, whatever you want to call them, versus ones that are terrible at it? And how do we, me and Brett, avoid those people?
The best
What are
ones don't get co-op.
Geno, this is very simple. Expertise, right? And it's the same as banking, right? You can choose to bank with Citibank, or you can choose to bank with a boutique bank, right? And the difference would be the personal touch, and they will know your name. Or if you're a customer via order, you're just a number. It's that simple. Expertise and limited number of clients.
I'm telling the dealers, don't waste your time walking down Cox Boulevard. You'll never get anywhere else in the convention.
I don't know about that boulevard. Is that somewhere in Dallas?
No, it's in Dallas right now.
With a vendor
Cox
that is your
Boulevard,
partner.
right in the center of the convention floor.
Being built as we speak.
I think Max's the expertise is where that starts, right? Where I see people being successful and not successful on both sides, right? Is actually execution, because they can have the expertise or they can have the training in the beginning, but I think this just falls right back to what you just said, Geno, is if they don't know how to help you execute on the strategy, whether it is an advertising strategy or a process or an F&I product, if they don't know how to execute on the expertise, they're dead in the water. Because I have hired a lot of super smart companies because I saw them speak at a conference and the owner of the company was super smart, but that didn't trickle down to the team. So the actual execution failed. And I think there's a big disconnect. So be really careful about the big companies who might have one wicked smart person, but everybody else is kind of oatmeal.
Well, and then we also have to talk, Jennifer, about the great salesman, right? Like the great salesman, but then there's no follow through. So implementations is painful. I get more phone calls, DMs, emails every day than everybody else combined because of where I sit and them all wanting to pitch me stuff. I ignore all of it, 100% of it. It's all background noise to me. I don't look at any of it. The only thing I do is the referrals. So when I have a problem and I want to solve it, I go out and say, okay, I tap all my sources and I get 3 that I think sound good. Then I'm going to look at those 3. But before I actually decide, I go one step further. I want the manager who's actually going to be servicing my account. I want the tech person, the people in the background that we don't get to talk to. Those people get on a call.
Wait a minute. Slow down a second. You want to talk to who you don't talk to. What did you say?
So before I make a final decision, because salespeople, if a salesperson's good, they get you excited. They're going to get your team excited. They get you all rah-rah on what they can do.
But you want to meet the background people that service your account.
Bingo. Because what I find is there's failure.
What a great comment.
There's failures from both sides in implementations. There's failures from the dealers who don't put this stuff into action, right? But there's also failures from the vendors when a dealer gets sold a bag of goods that actually doesn't actually work the way they say it's going to work. So by getting the people who are actually going to service the account on the phone and on a call and a video call and going through it before you sign the dotted line, you save yourself a lot of heartache and headache and making bad decisions.
So I'm going to give a quick answer to your question, Geno, because I think that's a brilliant question. I'm going to take off my consulting operations BDC hat for a second and go to like an advertising marketing kind of situation, because we're talking about NAD and walking down boulevards. So one of the services that I do, and I'm going to go quick through this just so everybody understands why I can tell you this, is a marketing matchmaking product for my clients. So taking off the consulting hat, where I screen vendors for a lot of my operations dealers, kind of like the video watching system, right? And help them to pick it. One of the things I look for, which is why I think other vendors should do this, is my first conversation with you as a scheduled conversation, if you're trying to pitch me, better not have a generic slideshow on it. It better not. I don't want to watch a 60-minute screen thing where you read bullet points. I want you to tell me not only what your product does, but how, like April said, you'll implement it, because teams and dealerships are not easy to implement things with, and we know that. And I don't want to rely on a product that could be an amazing product from a 20 group that everybody's like, oh my God, you got to get this. It gets put into a store where onboarding takes 6 weeks because they didn't get their information back, or because the vendor's screwing it up. Not every product that works for one dealer will work for the other. regardless of market. It's people,
Imagine
process,
that.
technology. So when I screen for dealers, so if you guys are watching this as a vendor, that better not be the case. I had a demo last week for a dealer who knew that we were on the call together. The VP of sales thought they would slide it and do the demo because I was on the call. That's what they said. It's not an arrogant thing. But they didn't do any research. And you can research me or this client anywhere. But here's the biggest kicker. They didn't shut up and ask any questions. How are you going to get on a 1-hour call with a dealer and show them a slideshow? You didn't do any research and you're talking more than you're listening. What?
When I did business with a dealer, Bobbie, I always went to their website and got their mission statement, what community events they were in. I knew their children's names. I knew their spouses' names. I knew my dealers before I ever contacted.
I'm gonna girl stalk you like we're dating and you have an ex, and you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I'm gonna know her blood type when we're done. But here's the thing: it's not to know those things about a person and utilize them in a manipulative way. It's to have a genuine conversation. So if I know that somebody is has a new child and is doing this, is doing that, I'm gonna ask because here's the deal: they might not have as much time to put in to what I'm asking them to do. And I want to give you a realistic idea because when we think that vendors and dealers fail, it's usually because somebody misrepresented a scope of work. That's what it usually is.
I'm not going to girl stalk you, but I'm going to check your census data and demographic for your market.
I will do it for her.
So,
if you're working with her, I already looked you up. But so but this is the important part. And here's why it's important, because if you are not willing to put in the time to earn a conversation with me by making a video when I ask you to, if you are not willing to spend, what does it take to stalk somebody these days? It's an hour. And I jokingly say stalk, but I teach this in dealerships. So it's true. Take the time to shut up and listen to the person you're talking to. Say to the person that you're having a conversation with, I'd like to have a 10-minute conversation with you, 15 minutes. Anything beyond that is up to you. And just learn a little bit more about what problem you're trying to solve and what opportunity you have that I can help you with. You would be shocked by how many people are receptive to that.
Bobbie, it's pretty telling that I've just told every vendor in the world how to sell me, and still 95% get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
they get it wrong.
But Brett, look, that's my video. No, I'm kidding. But I'll help you find the right partner if you need help.
Well, I'll tell you, that's another thing. I literally think there is a business out there to do what Jamie is doing for my 14 stores, to go through and vet every have an outside party, vet every single vendor that you're using.
Service. Yeah, it's a service.
We'll give you the contracts telling you what you're paying for that you're not getting.
Negotiating.
And then renegotiating. Because I will tell you right now, having been a vendor before, if I were to receive a cancellation from a group of 14 or 20 stores, and I'm going to do everything in my power to hold that deal together, including massively dropping the price.
Do you know what's funny, Brett? Because talking about that, and that, again, this is going back to Max's reference to the banks, right? Citibank versus a boutique. That is a service. One of the things that I think sets me apart in particular, because we get all the way down into the contractual addendums, things like that. But do you want to know how many times I've embarked on that service for one of my dealer clients, and the vendors refuse to forward the contracts?
Oh, that's a huge bad sign.
They
just
refuse. And
charge the dealer a percentage of what you save them. Find a group of 20 and you'll be rich.
But Brett, isn't that the key? Like, do you feel like I can tell you that I would guess that you feel very safe with Jamie, like a partner, because her role or his role is
she's a full-time person for the dealership.
Which is awesome. But so this is one of the things that's always funny to me though, is people are always surprised by that when I like Max, when I say partner thing. This is the truth, is that service is insane for a dealership. You're trying to run all the things you're trying to run and do buy sales. Having a trusted party that will tell you straight up, and by the way, who doesn't take money from any of the vendors that they're doing this for, to be honest and to do stuff for you, is having a segue to go, hey, here are the 4 things that are missing in this. Oh, by the way, you're double paying for 6 different products because somebody signed up at this and somebody signed up at this.
I completely disagree with everything you're saying.
But that's because you're not a dealer.
I completely disagree with everything you're saying about it.
Bobbie, I think you're spot on 100%.
Thank you, Brad.
Bobbie is 100% incorrect Because as a dealer principal, you have a responsibility to seek out the best vendors. You cannot delegate this function out. Impossible.
Wrong.
Yes,
Wrong,
you can.
Max. Wrong.
Yeah, that's
We do
wrong.
it every day.
You hire
Marketing.
great people and get out of their way.
Wholeheartedly.
Impossible. Nobody knows better than a dealer principal what a real partner.
I'm not falling into your trap, sir.
Yes.
Geno said it best.
Ask.
Geno said he won't hire anybody that didn't have operators that were in the business. You know, and like I see these sales trainers out there that are totally unqualified. They got Facebook credentials. Shit, what's that all about?
Well, I agree. We're saying qualified people. Bobbie is highly qualified. Jennifer is highly qualified. I work in the store and that's what I do. I created my job for this group knowing
Because you're good.
so much waste. You can't leave that up to the dealer principal. They don't know. They're the ones just signing the contract. Yeah, sounds good to me. They're not paying attention to that stuff. They don't have time for it.
And they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have to be the first person, the block, the execute, the checker. They should be the executor coming to a dealer principal and saying, "Hey, we were looking for this, or I saw this, and here's 2 of the 3 partners that I vetted, or 2 of the 6 partners I vetted that I think that we need to take a look at, and here's why, and how we would hold them accountable." That is not the role of a dealer principal to have to do that. This is the decision, sure, but what dealer principal has time to go out and vet 500 different companies?
Well, and when I sat in April,
Brett does.
Because he has
No,
I don't. But guess what? I have
kidding.
someone that can.
Just
I have
grab an
someone that can vet 20, and
Exactly.
I can look at the top 2.
Let me ask you a question, Brett. How do you filter those 20? Do they come to you via video and then you say, "Hey, listen to these folks. I think they have an idea, and tell me which one are good or not"? I mean, how does it work?
Absolutely. If I have a video that catches my attention, I absolutely will send it to the person internally to have them sit there for a period of time and watch these and vet them.
So sometimes we're not looking for a solution, but a solution's brought to us. How do you figure that out, Brett? Is it somebody who sends you something that's like, "Hey, I didn't even know that was a problem yet, and I need to get out in front of it"? You know, for a lot of the things that we looked at last year with all these safeguard rules and everything that was changing as far as that was concerned, there was a lot of grayness and like trying to figure out who the expert was when there is no expert, which was even more confusing, right? Because we didn't even know what the actual guidelines were going to be like. I guess one of my questions for you would be like, can you give me an idea of like, you know, a vendor that came to you that you didn't think that you needed, but then afterwards you were like, bam, they told me how awesome this product was. I saw it, and then I put it in the stores and we took off with it.
Great question.
Yeah, no, I listen. A lot of what I look at when vetting a vendor, if a vendor wants your business and you've got a decent size auto group, will they stand behind it? Will they say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to ask a vendor straight up. It sounds great. Let me try it for 30 days. Let me try it for 60 days and see," right? Do I have someone internally that does keep track of what we need based on laws and regulations changing? And we're a little bit ahead of the game in that regard, because then we can proactively reach out to companies to get that done. But if a vendor's not willing to stand behind their product, I have absolutely no reason to even try it.
Hey, Brett, I had a month-to-month contract. I never my contracts are one page. I will show up and you will pay my airfare, you will pay my consulting fee, and I will leave. I mean, that was my entire contract. I mean, month to month.
I want to jump in because I 2 things there, Geno. Because I actually I functioned as Jamie and as April when I was in the stores. And I would, for the solutions I was not actively seeking, I would actually they would send me, it wasn't a video, right? Sometimes it was a video, sometimes it was an email. if it piqued my interest, I had one day that I would schedule to do demos all day, not per week, right? Because I was running a large group with 3 departments I was responsible for. But that way I could stay abreast of what was going on. And I tell you, at NADA, I'm going Startup Alley. I'm looking for the new technologies to try to keep us ahead of things. But I did pre-vet, and we had it was not fancy, an Excel file, all of the different vendors that had been vetted and approved by the group. And then it would have a description of what that service was. And if the stores individually decided they wanted to participate in that tactic, they had a set of 2 to 3 pre-vetted vendors that they could then have the conversation with and decide from there.
And Jennifer, that's what we're trying to go to be candid with you. That's a great strategy.
I'll send you my spreadsheet. I'll give you some bones.
I mean, if anybody ever had a Brockmeyer contract, a Brockman contract, you understand what I'm talking about. Brockman had more attorneys on staff than he had programmers,
He did. That's for certain.
That's a fact. And the point is, you don't need to contract a dealer if your services are good.
100%.
You don't need to month to month. My contract
your
is
place in my
31st,
budget.
30th, or maybe the 28th of this month. Maybe. That's a handshake. I mean, I never had a dealer cheat me on that.
Well, the one that I hate the most is when they want to hit you with an implementation fee. Then they want to, especially like a digital marketing company, and then they want to charge you $16,000 to $20,000 per rooftop just so they can get your SEO perfect, and then they want to hit you for a huge management fee on a small spend on SEM. Now, I won't tell you who that is, but I think everybody on this call probably knows who they are.
Do they give out glass trophies?
No, they don't give out glass trophies. They might give out some glass trophies, but I've had those vendors where I'm just totally not interested. One time I had I had 5 of them pitching us on a whole auto mall out in California on which vendor to go through, and the reason why I went with our current ad agency, which is Dom 360, is the guy walks in, he goes, "Oh, hey, if you want to get totally screwed, go with that company right there." And so it was like one of those like clear, and he said a different word than that, by the way. But it was so clear and concise, and he was accurate in it, because I didn't feel comfortable with somebody who wanted me to pay X amount of dollars multiplied by 5 rooftops just to say hello. Like, who does that, right? Like,
Especially for a digital marketing company.
Well, if I bring somebody into service in the service department, we'll give you a free MPI. I don't mind doing a free MPI for you, because I'm going to find warranty, I'm going to find customer pay, I'm going to find maintenance, right? I'm going to find a whole bunch of stuff. But if I have to pay, if someone comes in and says, "Hey, can you check out my car?" and I'm like, "Hey, that'll be $350 just to say hello," then I'm not going to get a lot of customers that are going to come in now.
Yeah. So isn't it funny? Does anybody else find it ironic that it's like on the vendor side, we forget that there are power words, right? And I talk about this a lot, but I'm watching it happen right now. So as everybody on this show just made a comment about what a vendor will charge, the word fee came up every single time, right? Implementation fee, charge you this fee. But we teach as basic in finance not to use words like that. In my non-contract, 'cause I don't have one, the only thing it says is, if you do not attend a training, if a GM or a sales manager skips a scheduled training, there's a fee for that. Why is that a fee? I want you to know it's a fee, because then it sounds harsh, like you don't want to do it, and you're more likely to be involved, so things don't just go to the wayside when I leave, right? But never up front would I say there's an implementation fee. If you want to roll that into your packaging, then that's on you. But there are different words we use, like we say investment, not the money you're spending. We go as simple as, we don't say the word contract in a finance office, right? We don't do that on the floor either. But vendors who've never worked in dealerships
Agreement.
don't know that. Exactly, right? Let's go back to the skill set and think about that for a minute in the words that have power.
But listen, guys, I think
that is called semantics. Semantics is using alternative favorable words to replace unfavorable words.
It's marketing, persuasion,
Semantics.
NLP, whatever anybody wants to call it, but we teach it in the dealership. And if you're a vendor that doesn't know it, did you work in the dealer? Because, I won't. I'm like you.
I
You're
think
not
at the
doing
end
it
of
with
the
my
day-
clients if that's the case.
I think at the end of the day, not all vendors are created equal, and not all dealers are created equal. So I see this comment on a sidebar where somebody is disagreeing with me because dealer principals have no idea of what vendors provide, right? And I want to go back to my original point. I only want to, me personally, exclusively want to work with dealers that are hands-on, dealers that build their own empires, dealers that have their finger on the pulse. These are the dealers I want to work with. I don't want to work with dealers that delegate searching for vendors to somebody else. And that's just me.
Yeah, but not every dealer wants to work in the business, Max. Some of them just want
Right.
to work
But
on
I
it.
choose to work with dealers that work in the business, that build their own
We're
empires.
so hard on dealers.
But
We're
that
so
also fits
ridiculously
your
hard
product.
on
These are
dealers.
dealers that are capable of implementing processes that make this two-way street mutually beneficial. If you
I don't
want to
disagree
have a
with that.
third party search for vendors, a third party run your dealership, a third party do this, then most likely it's not going to work out.
Does anybody know what the problem is with trying to be a jack of all trades?
From
We all
that,
want to say we're a jack of all trades, but the truth is there is absolutely no possible way that you could run 14 stores, purchase 4 more, be looking at buy sells, attend NADA, do 500 vendor demos, be on every webinar, every poll.
Oh, now you're sucking up
I
to
know
Brett.
people who do that every day that own
Smart
28
operators.
stores that have another
Smart
14
operators.
stores in the pipeline. It can be done. It
Smart
can be
Other
done.
thing, they don't have
Money,
any
Max,
way to
wasting
do
money.
that.
they're wasting money, Max. If I'm going to defend you, and then I'm going to tell you you're wrong. First, I'm going to defend you in saying that from your chair, from the products that you sell, you're absolutely right. You
Right,
have
I
to be a partner with a principal. It has to be from that level. You can't walk in and sell your products, what you do, to a general manager and make that
Right.
work, or a person like me. Not happening. You're right. However, there's so much waste that happens because something gets signed up, and then where's the accountability from there? It's the time it takes. I have 40 dealers, per rooftop in some cases. When you start looking at all the little nooks and crannies and all the different things that everybody has to have, and all the OEMs mandates and all the different rules for all the different crap, there's so much of that. I saved this company my paycheck my first year in canceling, consolidating, and renegotiating contracts.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, they can do it, but they waste a lot of money if they do it that way.
And one
Right.
thing dealers
I
need
got
to
a
be
40 under 40
careful
for
about
that
is
from
the vendors that try to steal your data.
That
Oh,
is-
that's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. But if you're going to sign, there is something called a EULA agreement in every contract, end user license agreement. Every contract has a EULA, and the EULA says what they can do with your material. If there's some companies out there that totally own your data. You don't even own your data once you sign that contract.
It's gross.
I didn't sell you my damn data. I hired you to do a service. I didn't hire you to
gross.
steal my customer data. And there's some
It's
big
more
players that do
common
that.
than not,
Yeah.
and it may not even be in the agreement. The EULA may reference terms and conditions on their website, which then has a blurb at the top that says can change at any point in time. So you got to be super careful about that. But that goes back to trusting and knowing who you're working with. It's not secret for the dealers that siphon, scrape, or sell your data out there. It's easy to find them. There's some free products you could throw on your website for just a little bit to see who's siphoning stuff, and then make some phone calls and make a change.
Yeah, for the record, if all y'all would stop, and we were guilty of this when as a dealer before I came over to this side of the things, stop being excited when somebody comes in and says, we're going to list all your inventory for free. Because the group of y'all that keep doing it are the reason that there's things like car gurus that are overhauling your SEO and why you're having to pay so much for it. It's not a favor. Nobody's walking in and being like, let me do 100 hours of work for you and make your life easy. That's what you want to monitor. And that includes your data. I think it's gross the way that data is taken.
There is a company in Detroit called Detroit Trading Company. And Detroit Trading Company buys and sells leads from vendors that you're paying to do business for you. They're buying and reselling. You get 5 leads from the same on the same customer from different vendors? Because Detroit Trading Company or a company like that sold them the data.
Fun fact, watch the disclaimers that come in on some of your leads. I hate that word.
The
That come in on
EULA agreement.
No.
You'll know when they're white labeling it and reselling it to you, because it'll be the only way you'll know when it comes into your thing. We'll run out of time, but you can ask Jennifer.
In the actual lead form.
Just because we're good like that.
Yeah.
Well, guys and ladies, we have had one spirited record broadcast today. Everybody was